valiant effort, but sadly resulted in a defeat a little bit earlier against the Blazers in a 5-set thriller. Grant, as I just mentioned, we watched Belhaven go 5 sets with Piedmont. What stood out to you in their performance to grab the win?
I mean, the way they stuck with it, honestly. There wasn't anything too flashy really about what they did. They just won the moments they needed to, and like you said, a long 5-set match, so Maryville already at an advantage, but with that 5-set from Belhaven, they're going to be tired. Maryville's going to come out firing.
It's always an interesting theory. You know, you have a team that sat, watched both teams play, got a little bit of scouting done, but you're coming in cold in terms of match play. Belhaven obviously warmed up playing 5 sets, but it could result in some fatigue a lot earlier than normal. So Belhaven did come out with the exact same starting lineup that we saw against Piedmont about an hour ago. Cami Davis, LaCour, as well as Kaysen up front, and then De La Torre, the setter, Ateka, as well as Riley White in the back row, with the same libero Robinson to round out the starting lineup for Belhaven. And then for Maryville, the libero Caitlin Eldred, who will start us off serving behind the left baseline. Back row with her is number 15, Megan Fairburn, as well as number 22, Landry Frisch. And up front for the Scots will be number 7, Kaylin Mastro-Pasqua, number 13, Brooke Oliver, and rounding out the starting lineup is number 16, Reese Bailey. Both the Scots and the Blazers come into this matchup 7-2 in conference play. Of course, Belhaven now are 8-2 after defeating the Lions, so they're both jostling to try and get the top seed in the CCS standings. They sit 2nd and 3rd right now, with Asbury standing undefeated. Play starts underway, and the service ace by libero Caitlin Eldred of Maryville will kick off match number 2.
And a key for this one for Belhaven is just to find a, I guess, third wind almost, because you're already gassed enough, but you want to start out quick and not have to play from behind.
And Grant, we looked at the roster, especially for Maryville before this matchup, and there's something you mentioned that really stood out to you about the experience of the Scots roster.
Yeah, they have a lot of seniors, and those seniors are their tallest players. I noticed 3 6-foot-tall seniors on their team, so a lot of leaders behind them, and that's going to be really key in close situations.
There's going to be a lot of experience in the front row for sure for Maryville, who are on the left side of your screen and now wearing the lovely maroon long sleeves. Attack there by Bailey, kept up alive by Belhaven. LaCour goes line, and over the outstretched hands of Brooke Oliver it goes for Belhaven's first point of the afternoon. Second, excuse me, it's 2-1. Look at that, already behind action, 3 points in. Robinson's serve hits the net tape, but good reaction by Oliver to keep it alive. And a scramble of an effort by Maryville continues to extend the point. Attack by Kaysen, kept up well by Maryville. Back set looking for Mastro-Pasqua. Ateka goes wide to LaCour, and the outside position for LaCour, something we got very accustomed to witnessing against Piedmont. She became a serious threat in the 4th and 5th set and has continued the momentum here in her second match. Pass by Eldred, now looking outside once again to Kaylin Mastro-Pasqua, and she is getting active early as well. Some serious bunnies out there as well.
Yeah, and I mean, this early contest has been a lot dictated by Maryville's front line, because the points they've lost have been because the ball has gotten past them by Belhaven, and then the points that they've won, obviously, due to those hops and those bunnies.
Back to serve now is Dakota Weiss for Maryville, and initially kept up by LaCour, but the head referee is going to call a tip, or rather a double, against LaCour. Head coach for Belhaven arguing it was actually off the arm and not the hands, but both assistant referee and head referee disagree. Viese serve on its way. Ateka bump pass to Kaysen. Viese getting involved early. Eldred back set and finds the corner once again is Kaylin Mastro-Pasqua. She has been active early, really targeting the cross in the early action.
And just putting the pressure immediately on the Blazers, because they're not wanting to play from behind like I mentioned earlier, so they want to get that advantage as quick as they can.
And one thing I'm noticing with Maryville is they're very, very good at generating an attack. Even when they're out of system, they are still able to get in a full swing on each of these sets. Kaysen gets a full swing as well, but shut down up front by the duo of Mastro-Pasqua as well as number 16, Reese Bailey. Also checked in for Maryville is number 20, Kaylee Altum, who will now be on the right side, number 20. Back set is Altum. Vaise looks to Master Pasqua again. And again, another kill is generated on that outside spot for Maryville. And they have jumped ahead early. 6-3 your score in set number 1.
And you can really see an immediate difference from the, of course, Piedmont Lions with these Maryville Scots. Much different opponent for the Blazers. Their front line is really dominant.
Service error by Maryville gives the ball back to Belhaven. And a 6-2 rotation will be used for Belhaven. We didn't really touch on that in the matchup against Piedmont, but Belhaven utilizing 2 setters in their rotation to make sure they always have 3 attackers in the front row. So now setting for Belhaven is going to be Anaya Tompkins. Master Pasqua's attack kept up by Robinson. A little disconnect by Belhaven, and 4 touches on the side of Belhaven. And Maryville continue to put pressure on offensively. Belhaven likely breathing a sigh of relief as Master Pasqua drops back finally to serve, no longer in the front row. Great serve there. De La Torre does keep it alive. Enough time for Robinson to get under it. Eldred on the pass. Looks middle now and finds the middle. Reese Bailey on the kill. Beautiful set there by Dakota Vaese. Maestro Pasqua's serve on its way. Robinson very busy for Belhaven so far. And Riley White tried to go for a little tip kill. We saw a lot of that as well against Piedmont. Not a very traditional middle in terms of doing full-on swings, but rather deflection tips and dumping it short and close, but that time a little disconnect between herself and the setter Tompkins. Timeout called by Belhaven. They trailed 9-4 in the early going of set number 1 on match number 2 of our tri-match. We're going to take a breath with them. In about 60 seconds, we'll return for the continuation of set number 1. Quick timeouts concluded. Back to the action. We are inside of Cave Arena. Maryville off to a fiery start, benefiting from their earlier rest. Maestro Pasqua back once again for the Scots. Belhaven, who were so good at coming out of timeouts against Piedmont, are looking to continue that trend here as LaCour gets a little tool kill off of the outstretched hands of Bailey.
And Belhaven really needed that timeout because they looked extremely sluggish. I mean, that was a lot more extreme than I expected it, so maybe that timeout can give them a little second wind or a little extra advantage.
LaCour's serve on its way. Master Pasqua, beautiful pass. Looks middle is Riley. Kept up initially. Joust in the middle goes the way of Belhaven. Gardner goes for the tip off of the block, but it goes a little too wide. And Maryville gets the return right away. In for Maryville, back in rather, is Landry Frisch up front. And out steps the libero, Caitlin Eldred. Serve on its way from Bailey. Tompkins looks to Gardner, put down the middle, nobody there to cover the block. And although Master Pasqua got a hand to it, unable to keep the point alive. Kinsey Brewster also in for the Scots now, and you can just see the front row outside of Cammie Davis for Belhaven a lot shorter in the green uniforms than the maroon. Tight ball right to the middle and finds Brewster right after the substitution. And that connection between Brewster and Vaise is going to be dangerous because that back row is passing phenomenally.
Yeah, and I mean, passing to perfect targets, over 6 foot tall. That's just, it's an unfair advantage for Maryville over, like you said, only one really piece of height on Belhaven's front line.
Megan Fairburn back from Maryville to serve. Score stands 11-6 in favor of the Scots. Shut down up front as Kenzie Brewster gets a kill and a block in back-to-back points. That's how you get involved in the early action, huh, Grant?
Yeah, definitely, and they're going to need something.
3 towers stand on the side of Maryville, and Belhaven, who had the height advantage against Piedmont, now are on the other side of it. Davis tries to send the ball over. They're going to call a back row attack. Not exactly sure against whom, because Cammy Davis was front row, so we'll see the discussion with the Belhaven coach. No change in the call. It will still be for Maryville's point as they extend their lead now to 7. And Grant, this is something we sort of saw with them against Piedmont in the early sets of both set 1 and 2, which was them playing themselves almost into a deficit rather than just getting outplayed.
Yeah, a lot of early mistakes, and I think if you have those early mistakes and you start to get a deficit, it makes it tougher to come back because you're going to end up staying consistent with those mistakes. Not going to help you future positions.
It's important to play high percentage, and sometimes it's just a good serve. Megan Fairburn with the service ace against LaCour, and timeout number 2 taken by Belhaven. They got the first point out of the timeout, but since then, the Maryville Scots have been on an extraordinary lead, an extraordinary run, extending their lead now to 9, 15-6.
Yeah, it's an unstoppable force, especially offensively. Maryville, they just have a huge height advantage, huge physical advantage, and they just look a lot more in sync. I say it was a good word for than the Blazers right now.
Yeah, Maryville coming out firing, looking as well rested as they likely are. We're going to take a quick step away for about 30 seconds. When we return, we'll see whether or not Belhaven can bounce back from this impressive run by the Scots. Simon Johnstone and Grant Prather here to bring you the continuation of set number 1 between the Maryville Scots and the Belhaven Blazers, our second match of 3 this October afternoon. Fairburn, who was serving phenomenally, got a service ace before the timeout was called by Belhaven, drops out of the timeout, basically getting ice, as if you're playing a football game.
Pretty much, and I mean, I think if Belhaven had unlimited timeouts, they would win this game, because every single timeout, I think today, even in the previous game, they've won the first point coming out of it.
They're very, very effective coming out of these stoppages, but Maryville has done a good job generating a very large lead in the early going of set 1. Both Mastro Pasqua as well as the libero Eldred believe that service was going out. It did land in, and service ace for the libero Ateka of Belhaven. Serve on its way once again. Beautiful pass by Eldred, finds Fairburn. Outside attack looking for Oliver is down, but well recovered by Belhaven. Kaysen sends one deep. Mastro Pasqua's there. Dump ball by Fairburn, covered well. Tipped over by LaCour. Maryville continuing to put pressure on, but a interesting decision to go for a cut attack there, as that ball was very far outside of their range. Belhaven slowly building momentum. Instead of trailing by 9, they only trail by 6. 3 straight points in favor of Belhaven, but the lovely joy of being a commentator, sometimes it curses your opponents or the players on the court.
It always seems to happen. It's a weird phenomenon.
16-9 now, Maryville leads. Back to serve is number 22, Landry Frisch. Really, really smart cut ball there by Garner, and that's something we saw a lot in the first matchup. Garner not one to really put the hammer down on the attack. She can get up and do so if needed, but a lot of these cut short angle balls is what she's very good at. Belhaven now trails by 6. Frisch pass to Fairburn. Now it's out to Oliver, who goes cross. And we will see a call arguably in favor of Maryville as, I believe, a net violation. Grant, did you happen to catch the official gesture that was made?
Not at all. I was really focusing on if that was in or out, because it was close. Obviously, it ended up being out, but I didn't see that bit.
Yeah, the attack trajectory was tight, and then All of a sudden, I saw the assistant referee pointing to the side of Maryville, so some violation against the Blazers, and Maryville content with extending their lead now to 7. Mastro Pasqua's back in the front row. That's bad news for Belhaven as she grabbed multiple kills in the first rotation. LaCour, however, who is dominant in their first matchup against Piedmont, continues to pick up where she left off as she nabs another kill here in the second match.
And Belhaven's defense has really stepped it up since that second timeout. That's going to be a big key for them because if they can push it to Maryville's back line, they actually have an advantage.
Nice little kiss from the net, gets a service ace for Robinson and the Blazers as they now trim the lead to 5. Maryville does still have a very comfortable cushion of 5. But they don't want it to continue to get tighter. Up front, Reese Bailey. I mean, a connection like that quick in advance, it's tough to even read, let alone try and get a defensive play on it.
Exactly, and I mean, Reese just unreal height. That's a good word for it. 6 foot. She doesn't look it. She looks a lot taller than 6 foot. Really long arms, just able to get up as quick as possible.
A lot of verticality, a lot of length, as well as she can get high up above that net. Belhaven sets out to Kaysen. Now it's Maryville's turn. The attack initially blocked up front. It was Altum who tried to get the attack, but shut down by, I believe, White in the front row. Double substitution once again. Tompkins back to serve for Belhaven, and steps Shaiko as well. Belhaven trail by 5. And service errors like that are not going to help your case to trim the lead. And Maryville more than content with getting these free points consistently from Belhaven.
And especially already down 5. You can't have those mistakes when you're already playing from behind.
Mastro Pasqua goes for the serve, does hit off the net tape. Tight call, but called wide. And that was one tight serve.
That call looked very similar to one we saw at the end of the second matchup, right on that line closest to the camera on the right side.
LaCour back to serve for Belhaven. Mastro Pasqua on the receive. Looks middle, and the attack sails wide. That was Landry Frisch for Maryville, who nearly found the corner, but instead just a little too outside. Belhaven continuing to chip, now trailed by 4. And a beautiful serve by LaCour. Eldred couldn't get a read on that float as it moved at just the last second. And a timeout will now be called by the Scots. They do still lead by 3, but that lead is dwindling as Belhaven is continuing to build a run. We're going to see what the Maryville coach decides to instill in their players as we're going to step away alongside both teams. When we return, Belhaven continues the comeback, or does Maryville shut it down out of the timeout? Both teams come out of their timeout. Belhaven looking to continue the momentum they had going into the break, and if we know anything about their abilities out of a timeout, they likely will continue. Maryville, however, trying to cut down the momentum as they still lead by 3 here in set number 1. First attack by Maryville goes into the net. Frisch, the one who had the attack error, and Belhaven doing what Belhaven does best, which is play high percentage, force their opponents to make the mistakes. And they're slowly crawling back into set number 1. Good serve by LaCour, better pass by Mastro Pasqua. Altum's attack shut down, covered by Mastro Pasqua, but not to keep it in bounds. And now, all of a sudden, it's a 1-point game. They led by as much as 9, did Maryville. Yeah, the Scots' defense and their setups and passes are really struggling. They haven't really had a time to get their offense going like we saw in the beginning of the set. It was very, very efficient in the early stages. All of a sudden, Belhaven's defense has come alive. Maryville struggling a little bit more with the efficiency of putting away points. Gardner, nice tip. Eldred's there on the cover, though, for Maryville. Venice goes back out to Frisch. Good cover by Alta. Mastro Pasqua sets out to Frisch. And a heads-up roll dumps it right over the top of the outstretched hands of Scheiko. And Maryville finally shuts down an impressive run by Belhaven.
Yeah, they needed those points because that was a good point to get their offense back under them. They needed some time to get in the rhythm of the game because these points have been really quick in this first set.
Serve on its way by Bailey. Good effort by Gardner, keeps it alive. Tompkins sends it over. Venice goes right back to Brewster, and Brewster, my goodness, is she going to be a problem in this matchup?
Yeah, Brewster, we talked about the experience of these Maryville Scots. 6 foot senior. I mean, in the middle hitting, it's really not fair for these Blazers.
Viase doing a great job of finding her teammates and not really forcing the square peg into the round hole. That service error by Reese Bailey is going to give the ball right back to Belhaven as they only trail by 2, 19-21. Kept in by Eldred. Veise goes wide to Frisch, and Frisch redeems herself from the attacking error earlier. And Maryville continue to inch their way towards grabbing set number 1. Both teams running a 6-2. Fairburns checked back in for Maryville. Alongside her is Brooke Oliver in the front row. Fairburns serve on its way. LaCour's there on the pass. Cammie Davis tip. Eldred's all the way in the front row. Now a back set to Oliver. Good block up front by Cammie Davis once again. Eldred to Frisch. Blocked up front. No coverage on the block. And Cammie Davis and Belhaven are starting to introduce themselves on the defensive side as well.
And I mentioned at the top of the broadcast how the main reason Belhaven beat the Lions in the previous matchup is they won the points when they needed to. And I mean, just sticking in the game, being there on those last couple of points is huge.
Belhaven always good at just hanging around. They're sort of a nuisance in every set. Even when you think you have full momentum, they somehow are closer than you feel. Right here, they only trail by 2, make that 3 with a beautiful kill by Frisch to make the Scots just 2 points away from set number 1. Landry fresh back. Oliver, Brewster, and Mastro Pasqua in the front row for Maryville. Astra on the set, and Gardner with the attack. Mastro Pasqua goes for a roll. Ateka's there. Robinson on the dive, keeps it alive. And LaCour sends that one over. Fairburn goes to Brewster. Tipped up. Kept alive by Gardner. Back and forth we go. It's a chippy point. But a heads-up play by Kaysen gets the free kill. And Belhaven once again just hanging around in set number 1. Dilatory back to serve for Belhaven. Maryville looking to get a side out to give themselves their first set point. Good pass to Fairburn, who looks to Oliver. Good attack. And a net violation against number 25, Kinsey Brewster. And Belhaven now 1 point away from making this a very tight first set. After clawing their way back from a 9-point deficit, they stand 1 point away. Eldred on the beautiful pass to Fairburn, goes to Mastro Pasqua, rolls line, kept up by Ateka. LaCour attacks Maryville, claiming it wasn't touched. Doesn't matter as the set attempted for a dump goes wide, and now set point number 1 for Maryville. Eldred back to serve. Mastro Pasqua along with Oliver and Fairburn up front. Ateka goes to Cammie Davis, blocked up front, kept alive by Kaysen. LaCour sends it on over. Eldred on the pass. Tough ball for Oliver to deal with. Goes short. Ateka straight back out to LaCour, tapped up again. And Fairburn goes middle, and middle is the answer to conclude the set. Reese Bailey, the one to get the final kill, and Maryville nabs set number 1 in tight fashion, 25-22. Grant, the upfront presence from both of those teams toward the very end of that set, I think, was crucial to extending these rallies and giving both teams chances to generate an attack.
Yeah, they definitely needed to adjust to a different pace. This is a much different game than that first matchup, especially for Belhaven, obviously. Maryville's a lot more aggressive. They have that height on the front line, so like you said, having those two sides play equally and get those rallies up, it was exciting to see, and we're going to probably see more of it soon. I do think Belhaven's going to have to play their own game. They're not going to have to go into Maryville's aggressive game. If they can avoid that and go towards more finesse type of plays, they'll have a good chance.
Belhaven going to have to get creative. Maryville just going to continue what they're doing, which is bringing the thunder on the offensive end. We're going to take the 3-minute step break along with both teams as Belhaven discusses how to turn the tide in set number 2. You're watching Piedmont University Volleyball on YouTube. Welcome back to Cave Arena, Lions fans, or maybe Scots fans, or maybe Blazers fans if you're hanging on from your first match victory against the Piedmont Lions. Maryville leads 1-0 in a tightly contested first set as they took it away 25-22, and we were given the stats at the conclusion of set number 1. Grant, anything stand out to you?
Kills for Maryville, definitely. 13 as opposed to the Blazers 8. Their offense was just lethal. Like that front line, we mentioned it, experienced, tall, a huge advantage, but Belhaven stuck in that set with a lot of finesse, smarter type of plays to try to catch the Scots off guard. Yeah, with a 5-kill advantage, normally it's a bit more of a blowout than just a 3-point lead, and on top of just the kill numbers, it's a very spread out offense from Maryville. Mastro Pascal, who kicked off the Scots offense initially, is tied with 2 other teammates with 3 kills. Now, of course, she's solo leading with 4 kills, but herself alongside Reese Bailey in the middle and Landry Frisch on the outside. All 3 of them have done a fantastic job, and right behind them with 2 kills is Oliver Brook as well as Kenzie Brewster. So each offensive player for Maryville getting a nice share of sets. It's confusing Belhaven in the front row to try and set up a smart block, and they're just swinging freely on the right side right now. Yeah, and the beginning of their set last time was a big reason why they won. I think they were up 10-5 at one point, and now already up 2-0 with a lot of momentum going in. Back to serve for the Scots is Vaise. Kill leader for Belhaven, LaCour with 4. Had the swing over there, and a quick attack by Reese Bailey.
and no one put up a block in time through the middle, and a free and easy kill for the Scots.
And you said quick attack. That happened in the blink of an eye, and Blazers had no time to react. They haven't had a lot of time to react on these attacks from the Scots.
Nice little dump down by Alta. Maybe a bit of help from the net, but still an easy and free kill after a tough service received by LaCour, and Belhaven starting to get flashbacks from set number 1 potentially, as they had a quick deficit early on, hoping to not let the same thing transpire here. Little joust up front, tipped over by Robinson. Eldred on the bump pass, and Mastro Pasqua goes right at Robinson, who easily fields it. LaCour goes deep. Flish the one to receive it, and back and forth we go here in this rally. Kaysen goes line past Mastro Pasqua, and although Eldred was there, unable to react in time, and Belhaven finally gets on the board. Robinson's serve on its way. Good pass by Eldred. Tough ball for Mastro Pasqua to deal with, but a beautiful dive by Ateka keeps it up, and then the cut ball by who else but LaCour helps Belhaven continue to build momentum in set number 2.
Belhaven definitely has the advantage on longer rallies, I would say. I think Maryville's passing is just a little bit less as good. I don't want to say worse, less as good than the Blazers.
Mastro Pasqua goes angle. LaCour dives right towards the bleachers. Looks to be okay. Tight effort there, my goodness.
Yeah, this has been an interesting 2 points in terms of, danger. Michelle Cates and Shaylee down there almost got hit with one on the previous point, and I think Belhaven's libero almost got an elbow to the face too.
We're getting physical here in set number 2. Might not be a contact sport, but we're trending towards a different storyline here. Beautiful run by Eldred, gets Venice a chance to set up Alta. on the cross, but a dive by Delatorre keeps the point alive. Attack by LaCour, little too short there, and it lands on the side of Belhaven. And this was one of the concerns we spoke about at the beginning of this matchup. Belhaven coming off of a 5-setter, only 45 minutes to rest. Fatigue plays a significant role in these matchups. LaCour goes to Ateka, and Kaysen just bumps it over. And off of an interesting tip, no Scott there to cover. And Belhaven continues to hang around, just trailing by 3 in the early going.
And again, those short tips are really giving Maryville fits. They're having trouble flocking to the ball and getting those hits up to try to bring it back.
And like you said, they're not a team who swings with a bunch of firepower. It's a lot more creative. They try some short tips, some rolls, some pushes, rather than just trying to swing through a block. A little bit less than what Maryville does. You see Flish gets the tool there for the Scots. So Belhaven, although it feels quote-unquote one-dimensional in terms of how they're executing points, the locations of where they're putting them are so annoying on the side of Maryville that they continue to sneak away points. Good serve by Mastro Pasqua, and an awkward pass for Belhaven. Unable to deal with it was Shaiko, and Maryville is starting to build a lead here, 8-3 now in set number 2. Serve on its way by Bailey. Good set by Tompkins off the outstretched hands of Altum, and Mastro Pasqua was not able to get to it in time. Shaiko, Gardner, and White in front row for Belhaven. Venice goes to Brewster, but a little too high for her and a little too behind for her to generate an actual attack. Altum, one-hand tip, able to generate an attack over there for Frisch. Maryville looking to attack again. Frisch on an interesting cut angle gets the inside of the line, and that is an impressive attack. Setters swap out for Maryville. Fairburn checks back in, as does Oliver in the front row. Some perspiration concern, I believe, on the side of Belhaven. Chance for both sides to catch their breath.
Chance for us to catch our breath, too. There's been a lot going on. I mean, this set specifically isn't close, but that last set was battle to the end.
It kicked up.
Same thing with the first matchup for Belhaven. Like we said, they're staying in these games. They're not giving up.
Belhaven continues to be a rock in every team's shoe as they hang around, but an aggressive serve by Fairburn and a little too late for LaCour as LaCour struggling just a bit on the service receive in the second set. Timeout taken by Belhaven as the lead now jumps to 6 in favor of the Scots. 10-4 your score here in set number 2. And take a quick breath along with both of the teams when we return. Will Belhaven continue their trend of getting momentum out of a timeout, or will Maryville push the tempo here? Belhaven returns to the court alongside Maryville. Simon Johnstone alongside Grand Prather to bring you our second of 3 matches here this Saturday afternoon. We appreciate each and all of you tuning in instead of watching some college game day. Maybe you're multitasking, who knows. But to jump back into action, Maryville has done a fantastic job. Set number 1, they jumped ahead to a 9-point lead. Set number 2, it looked back and forth initially, but now they jump ahead 7. And for the first time in what feels like forever, Belhaven did not win the first point out of a timeout.
Yeah, I think that probably broke a streak of about 7, and all that's due to Maryville. They're not giving a lot of the same looks they gave in the first set. It's kind of letting off the gas a little bit and trying to pin it more on that back line.
Yeah, Maryville playing a little higher percentage, not a lot of attacking errors. It wasn't really a concern in the first set, a total of 7 attacking errors to Belhaven 6, so it was tightly contested in that realm. 7 in a set isn't a good number. You want that a lot closer to about 4. Because worst case scenario, you just have a lot of attacks, but errors are those free points you give away. Scheiko, however, for Belhaven with a beautiful attack there, gets Belhaven a kill. Yet another slight stoppage in play. I don't know who is slipping and sliding on the side of the Blazers, but some water hanging around.
It happens. And it is cold in this gym. That maybe you mentioned that is to prevent a little extra condensation on the floor, but might be a little bit harder to sweat, but some of these girls are trying their best, so they're sweating.
White serve on its way. Brewster with the tip. Gardner's there to cover. Smart play by Tompkins, but Maryville saw through it. And the simple and easy attack on the outside for Brooke Oliver continues to extend Maryville's lead. And we kind of thought this might be a concern for Belhaven, the height disparity up front, but what's really getting felt here in this second set.
And I really think the fatigue's starting to set in. They look a lot slower in this second half as well.
Tompkins to Cammie Davis. Eldred's there for Maryville. Mastro Pasqua on the corner, able to keep it up is LaCour. Tight ball for Gardner, no net call. As Scheiko goes deep corner, that would have dropped. Good eyes by Frisch. And Maryville still trying to get set up. Outside, going to take an attempt at the setter position as Oliver send that one to Mastro Pasqua. And on the other side, Gardner a little too sharp, a little too much power, sails the ball wide. And Maryville, like we talked about, not swinging as aggressively, but just staying in these points, forcing Belhaven to mess up. Tompkins looks right to Cammie Davis, deflected up front by Brewster, but Frisch unable to chase down the deflected block in the back row. Belhaven shuts down a small run by Maryville. Very, very reminiscent of set number 1. Obviously, Maryville doesn't preferably not want to repeat set number 1 because they quote-unquote blew a 9-point lead. Belhaven, unfortunately, find themselves in the same spot, but know they can come back from a deficit even larger than this. Beautiful play by Robinson. Now it's out to Garner, who gets shut down up front by Kinsey Brewster and Oliver. And Maryville's height is such a pain to deal with on the attack.
That experienced front line blocking everything the Blazers throw at him. I mean, you just can't get anything past him.
Eldred back for the Scots. LaCour the one to find Ateka, and Ateka's bump set way too hard. Nearly took the head off of the head referee.
Yeah, it was a close call, and I mean, these unforced errors for the Blazers they're not helping. They're down 9. We mentioned how they're good at staying in the game, but this one is really in favor of the Scots.
There's a lot of simple moments that they're kind of just losing focus or concentration on. Robinson finds Gardner, who tries to dump it down, and no touch called on the side of the Scots. So 4 touches on Belhaven, and another timeout called by the Blazers. They've gotten just 1 point since their previous timeout. The lead's now extended to 10 in favor of Maryville. So the Blazers, with their back seemingly against the wall, and it could get real desperate if they happen to drop set number 2. We're going to take a quick break alongside these two teams. When we return, will we see Maryville continue their momentum, or will Belhaven reclaim their infamous timeout advantage? We'll see in about 40 seconds. Stay with us. The timeout has concluded. Belhaven out there to hopefully curb what has been an impressive run by Maryville. Cami Davis and Ateka, bit of a disconnect, and instead Maryville will come out of the timeout exactly how they went into it, with just efficiency on the service position as well as defensively. And Grant, we're going to put you in a coaching position here. If you're the head coach of Belhaven, your team's struggling. They're now down 11. What are you telling them to try and at least claw their way back in this second set?
Probably communication, honestly, because a lot of these errors have just been, errant hits, and that could even be not even communication in the middle of a point, but just communication between teammates, showing them what's wrong, because you can't really change the way they're playing, but you can change the setup to it.
You're absolutely right. And that last kill that we saw by Reese Bailey, those are one of those kills, if you're on the Belhaven side, you just accept. It's a phenomenal play. The setter set the ball perfectly to Bailey, and she took full advantage. So, like you said, Belhaven just needs to play their game. They need to figure out the high percentage attacks. You need Kaysen to unleash a fireball across the court. And in situations like that, that's how you start to build momentum. Get loud. Utilize the fact you're at a neutral site. And that's where slowly but surely you'll blink, and Belhaven's now within 6. Suddenly it's 4. They do trail by 11. It's 18-7, so they have the chance to play freely. They shouldn't be playing scared. But Maryville is just going to continue to try and do what the Scots have done so well in set number 2, which is just play their brand of volleyball. Fairburn back set to Oliver. Made it real awkward for Belhaven, but Belhaven able to send it over. Back up to the hot hand of Bailey. Belhaven, good reaction by De La Torre. Fairburn back to Oliver, who goes line, called inbounds. And it's just been an onslaught of offense from Maryville, who find themselves in system, constantly opposed to Belhaven's desperate plays to keep the ball alive.
And you mentioned Belhaven having to kind of accept sometimes these good attacks from the Scots. There's really nothing you can do about them. I think they're going to have to win the points that are winnable, that they can control the pace and not let Maryville take over.
It's a great point. Kaysen, a beautiful attack. A fantastic effort by Eldred, libero for Maryville, but no follow-up play by the Scots gives Belhaven A point. 19-8, the Scots lead, looking to extend it to a 2-0 advantage here. Veise goes, and a pancake play by Robinson keeps the point alive for Belhaven, but the connection between Veise and Bailey has been so incredible that Belhaven just cannot put a stop to it.
Maryville, like you said, that connection's been phenomenal, but it seemed like every other teammate has been getting involved too. Every part of this roster can play a part.
You're absolutely right. Maryville isn't forcing any sort of opportunity. It's just when their number is called, they're finishing the point in the way that they're required to. Eldred finds Veise, and back to the hot hand it goes. A diving effort by Kaysen did keep it alive, but nobody there for the third ball. And Maryville just continuing to put the hammer down, 21-8, set number 2. It's very similar to what could have happened in set number 1. Belhaven had an impressive comeback to make it tight, but Maryville just doing what they do best, which is utilizing their height and their aggressiveness, and really a great facilitator in Veise. That ball deflected off the front line. Eldred did get a hand to it, no one there for the follow-up. And Belhaven looked to get themselves into double digits here. Kaysen's serve on its way. Beautiful ball, low tip though for Bailey to deal with. She does get it over. And on the outside position, the kill by LaCour is good. And she has continued to be a bright spot in a rather, not struggling, but slow offensive day, or match rather, for Belhaven.
I think lackluster would be a good word for that, or almost a letdown from that first set, because they were on that first set. They're just a little bit out of sync this time around.
Frisch attack goes cross. One-handed effort by Robinson keeps it up for Belhaven. And although LaCour just had to pass it to the court, got a little turned around and sends that one wide. Scots now 3 points away from a very strong and convincing 2-0 lead. Back to serve is the middle. Bailey. Dilatori finds Ateka, goes middle to White, but blocked up front once again by that strong Maryville front row. And when you don't even get your star players involved because they're getting shut down by 6-foot individuals across the net, that's when you start to panic. Maryville, 23-10, they lead. LaCour, good pass. Ateka gives it right back. Short tip blocked up front, but a net violation against Kenzie Brewster as she vocally disagrees with that call.
Yeah, she looked mad at that call. Her facial expression said it all. Just, I don't know if that was a mix of confusion, anger, whatever emotions you could put in that basket.
She's back to all smiles. I think it's one of those, oh my goodness type of calls where it's like, of course, I happen to fall into the net after a great block. Frisch on a beautiful attack, well received by Belhaven's back row. Goes for it again. Another pass by Kaysen keeps Belhaven alive. And a net violation against Gardner is going to shut down what felt to be a momentum building point for Belhaven. Instead, Maryville get their first set point.
And if you're Belhaven, I mean, you don't have a lot left in the tank. Obviously, Maryville is probably going to come out on here in this set, so you got to find something to try to win 3 sets in a row to come out on top, and that would be important in conference play.
These two teams, like we mentioned at the beginning of our broadcast, are very, very close to not only the top of the CCS, but in terms of records overall. With Belhaven's win against Piedmont, they now sit at 8-2. Maryville coming into this matchup right now are 7-2. So a win here for Maryville would tie up, or rather give Maryville a one-game or half-game lead on Belhaven. Of course, Maryville will play your Piedmont Lions after the conclusion of this match. Belhaven able to extend the second set initially as they grab the point. Maryville just trying to get one more point to close out the set. Tip ball by Gardner, tools off of the block, and Belhaven, like you mentioned, Grant, starting to build. I don't think their expectation is a comeback here, but they're building towards something in the future.
Yeah, you want to have some sort of momentum going into that third game. You cannot come into that cold due to Maryville's starts of their first 2 sets.
Brewster's attack is going to be invalidated as a net violation against one of the Scots. I couldn't decipher what the number was called. But Belhaven continuing to push. Liberalist Belhaven, I should add. And the attack by Oliver Good after the block sails out of bounds. And Maryville finally, after a bit of a shaky conclusion to the second set, do win the second set 25-14, and now they lead 2-0. Belhaven officially have their backs against the wall for the first time this afternoon. They were very good in the fifth set against Piedmont, but obviously a different beast here with the Scots.
Yeah, the Scots, I mean, just pure height. Insane attacks, just so much different than the Lions. Lions play a lot more finesse, good backline play. Maryville, pretty much the opposite. Belhaven's really been caught off guard, but they've still had a lot of flashes and a lot of instances where they've played their game and they've done their job, and that's all you can do against this Scots team. The Scots are so powerful, and Belhaven is a good antithesis, is a good word for that. So we're going to see how it pans out in the third set.
It'll be very, very interesting. We'll find out what Belhaven concocts to try and push this to extra sets. About 2 minutes until the beginning of set number 3. We're going to step away while that time ticks down. You're watching Piedmont University Athletics on YouTube. Welcome back inside of Cave Arena. Simon Johnstone joined with Grant Prather as we are about to kick off set number 3 here in our second match of our 3-match slate between your Piedmont Lions, the visiting Maryville Scots, as well as the visiting Belhaven Blazers. The Blazers did come out on top against the Lions in our first match in a 5-set thriller. You will, of course, see the Lions at the conclusion of this matchup, which Maryville is hoping will be after this set as they lead 2-0. Grant, we were handed our stats at the end of the second set, and you and I were talking about the kills in particular. What stands out about that to you?
Yeah, Maryville with 26 now as opposed to Belhaven's 21. I mean, the attack has been evident for the Scots. It's been dominant, but another thing for the Blazers, too, is errors. They've had 14 errors so far in total as opposed to the Scots' 8, and that really especially didn't help them in the second set because they had to play from behind the entire time. Obviously lost that set by 11 points, so they're going to need to crack down on those in this third set.
And when we talked about the attacking statistics after the first set, it was only a 1 error difference between the two teams. Maryville had 7 attacking errors to Belhaven's 6. However, in the second set, Maryville only had 1 attacking error in the entire set. Belhaven had 8. So Belhaven lost. They got, quote-unquote, blown out objectively in that second set, arguably because of their offense and just the attacking errors they had.
Yeah, they lost to themselves, I would say, in that second set. It wasn't pretty if you're their coach, but it's something to learn from and improve on for sure.
They do jump ahead to grip the first point of set number 3. as they're going to have to go the distance twice in one afternoon to go 2-0 this weekend. Maryville looking to cut their hopes short in a sweeping fashion as Fairburn looks to the middle of the on-fire Reese Bailey as she grabs kill number 8, a team-leading 8th kill.
Yeah, that's, again, one of those plays where if you're Belhaven, you kind of have to accept the setup because Reese Bailey she's a presence in that middle. Again, 6 foot tall, a huge advantage. And another thing she does is she'll catch you off guard because her attack with her arm going up is really quick. So it's hard to adjust to.
And if you're curious about who the kill leader is for the entire matchup, it's going to be on the side of Belhaven. It's going to be Megan LaCour, number 28 for the Blazers. She has 9 currently in this matchup. Her number's called right away and make that double digits for this matchup. Megan LaCour grabs kill number 10 here in set number 3. She's really been one of the few Blazers that's swinging very, very fluidly and aggressively regardless of that blocking presence.
And it's been huge because Maryville's reaction time on their back line has not been there today. It's once the ball gets past their front line, they've really struggled to get it back.
Vise with the one-handed set looking for Bailey, but Bailey's attack sails deep. And Belhaven, in uncharted territory so far in this matchup, have an early lead. 3-1, your score in set number 3. Good eye by Frisch as Robinson's serve goes deep. Service errors, that would be number 3 only for Belhaven, so still, that's a good number to have 2 sets and change in.
Yeah, although Belhaven had all their errors in that second set, there was not a single service error by either squad. But, I mean, I don't know if does that count as an error in the book, but that was just a miscommunication.
That?
Yeah.
Service ace.
Service ace.
Service ace.
No one on Belhaven communicated and went for that ball, so tough break.
So Tori, the one to grab that one, making sure that was her ball. And what more can you say about Megan LaCour as she just continues to send an offensive onslaught towards the Scots back line. Kill number 11, we're keeping an eye on her as she's closing in on this afternoon's kill leader, Mary Britt Televast, who broke 16 kills in the matchup against the Blazers earlier this afternoon. Vise goes middle once again. Bailey's attack well received by De La Torre, and LaCour is going to send it on over to the side of Maryville. Quick set to Fresh. Ateka's there. She elevated for the block. Get up, girl. Good defensive play by Maryville, as now Altum has the attack, hits the net tape, and Belhaven wins an aggressive and extended point.
You can see coming out of the set break, Belhaven with a lot more energy and a lot more, I guess, enthusiasm, especially on the bench, because they have to play from behind. You got to have something here.
And interestingly enough, one thing I'm picking up on with the Belhaven side, as that won't be labeled as a kill for LaCour, but still a good attack by Megan LaCour and the Blazers as they extend their lead to 3, is Belhaven is actually running a 5-1 formation. We'll talk about that in just a moment as Maryville calls a timeout. I believe their first one, maybe second of the matches. I think they called one in the first set. But Belhaven now starting to build some momentum in set number 3. But as I was saying, they're running a 5-1 for Belhaven, which means Ateka, who traditionally would be subbed out in the front row so you can put another setter in the back row, a.k.a., long story short, you always have 3 hitters in the front row. Now you have a setter in the front row, which is both good and bad because they can go up and attack, but it also limits you to just 2 attackers. So Belhaven coach open to trying new things with their back against the wall. I'm curious to see, just due to the height disparity of Ateka. I mean, she can get up. We just saw her contest an attack on the outside. But Ateka is going to have a tough task dealing with some of the 6-footers for the Scots.
Yeah, looking at a lot of the Scots' blocking prowess and the way it was shown in the first 2 sets, it is going to be interesting to see how that pans out. If they're able to block, obviously they'll run away with this 3rd set. But if they're not, I think Belhaven will have a ginormous advantage.
Maryville come out of the timeout. Belhaven looking to continue. Kaysen's serve on its way. Eldred, beautiful pass. Finds Venice, and of course they go to lucky number 16. Reese Bailey through the middle gets the kill. In comes Kenzie Brewster, out goes Eldred for this play as the libero cannot serve twice. One of the middles does need to serve. Service on its way. Robinson easily receives it. Ateka goes out to LaCour, and LaCour continues her fantastic afternoon with kill number 12. Out steps De La Torre, in steps Gardner in the front row. Belhaven lead by 3 once again, 7-4. Vise goes out wide to Frisch. Free swinging, but good defense by Belhaven. Keeps the point alive. But when you have Frisch, you can elevate like that, and then Kenzie Brewster coming through the middle. What do you do as a defensive player for Belhaven?
It's an impossible combination. There's not much you can do because that size disadvantage is it's tough. And also Maryville's attacks, I mean, the ball just hit so hard. It's so hard to react to that.
And another hidden benefit with it is you can no longer stack blocks. Sometimes if you know they're going to go to a specific player or majority, you can kind of start cheating over and double up on a block to a certain player. With how often they're facilitating who gets the set, it's so much harder to read where the ball's going, which leads to a lot of solo block opportunities for Maryville to attack on. Belhaven, though, not discouraged just yet, continues to go back and forth with the Scots and maintain their 3-point advantage. White serve on its way. Fairburn looks middle to Brewster off the deflection of the net, but touched at the last moment by White. And the middle has been the most active spot for Maryville. Both Brewster as well as Reese are just very active in that spot. Cami Davis, the one to bump past to Gardner. Eldred's there for the setup. Frisch looks to Mastro Pasqua, but a little too short in the attack. And a lot more errors here in set number 3 for Maryville.
Yeah, I think they're coming out a little bit sloppy. Maybe thinking they're too far ahead and kind of letting off the gas a little bit. It's a very common theme with teams that are up. So they're going to have to turn that around. But Belhaven, like I said, they came out of the break looking a lot more strong.
Ateka is out of the back, or out of the front row, now serving. So 3 hitters once again for Belhaven, but it was working. It was a concern of mine for Belhaven, but it seems to be more of a benefit than a detriment to have Ateka in that front row. Back set to Kaysen. Good pass by Fairburn. Does take the setter out, but in steps Oliver to take the roll. Master Pasqua elevates and dumps it short middle. And the Scots. And the Scots are going to grab the point, but we're going to see the head referee request for a captain, and will hand a yellow card to Cami Davis. Completely missed the quote-unquote charge at her. Maybe some words exchanged?
Probably. Maybe she was arguing that, I forgot which Scott it was, but maybe she was trying to argue that her arms were over the net. I really couldn't get a look at it, though.
Interesting. Well, we will see a substitution. Cami Davis is going to check out. In steps Michaela Sitzler. First time we're seeing her this afternoon. She is 6'2", so you're not losing any height by trading her out for Cami Davis, as she gets her first nod of the afternoon. A freshman as well out of Jean Lafayette, Louisiana. Probably Jean Lafayette in hindsight. Should have saw Lafayette one. Huh, French, you know. Maryville have chopped, not fully, but have very significantly cut down on the lead. And Reese Bailey goes up to absolutely crush the ball, pulls off at the last second, realizing it's not going over the net. And so no neutral zone infraction violation against the Scots there. And now 9-9 the score. The lead has completely diminished from the side of Belhaven. And now they're going to have to find a way to rally as Maryville look a lot more motivated to close this out in straights. Ateka to Gardner. Good pass by Frisch. Back set to Oliver. Gets the tool off the hands of Gardner. And Maryville grab their first lead of set number 3. Timeout called by Belhaven. It's time to talk it out. And after the yellow card and a couple of tough, tacky plays, all of a sudden Maryville just it feels like a complete 180 from 5 points ago.
Yeah, an immediate momentum switch. I think they're kind of coming into the rhythm finally in the third set. It took them a while, at least for their standards, because they came out so hot in those first 2 sets. But Belhaven now kind of needs to find a way to crawl back, because this could get out of hand really quickly for them.
And we're going to do my favorite segment, which is Ask the Coach. So Coach Graham Prather of the Belhaven Blazers, what are we going to do to not let Maryville generate a bit of a lead here and instead try to reclaim what we had at the beginning?
I would say make your goal not to lose 2 points in a row. It sounds kind of weird, but I think if you allow these Scots to get a cluster of points in a row, a series of points in a row, it makes it really tough to crawl back because their offense is so lethal, and the Blazers have had moments where, they've just been out of sync, and Coach doesn't want to see that.
Well, thank you for your time, Coach. I know you're busy, so we'll keep you right up here in the booth and not let you go back down to coach your team. Both teams out of the timeout. Maryville looking to continue their momentum. And right out of the timeout, Eldred gets a service ace for the Scots. Gardner didn't see that ball dropping a little too early, and it drops down for an ace. Maryville lead now by 2, looking to continue to push. Tough serve, well dealt by Belhaven, utilizing the net as a bit of a backboard. Mastro Pasqua on the attack doesn't touch the net, and a beautiful outside kill for number 7 of Maryville.
I really wonder what the Scots weight room routine is, because the vertical on some of these frontline players is insane.
They can get up there. Some cloud-piercing action on the side of Maryville. One thing you can't teach in the weight room, though, is service accuracy, as that one by Eldred does serve or land wide, and Belhaven curbs a quick run by the Scots. Dilatory in to serve for Belhaven. Mastro Pasqua's number called once again. One-handed dive play by Bailey. Mastro Pasqua demanding some call. Completely missed it. Maybe a net touch, but from our vantage point, seemed like a completely clean play, and Belhaven did grab that point. However, a bit of a stoppage with the Maryville coach. I think she agrees or argues that there was some form of net touch, maybe just reminding him, hey, let's keep an eye on that a little bit tighter. Short serve, hard to deal with. Fairburn and Bailey able to connect for a short moment. What's not short but a huge moment is Brooke Oliver going line there for Maryville. And like you mentioned, Grant, on the side of Maryville, a lot of veteran experience. That whole front row, not only all 6 feet tall, but all seniors and upperclassmen. Ateka gonna roll that over. No Scott there to cover, and Belhaven gonna get a kill from their setter, Miriam Ateka. Belhaven, although trailing, keep this third set tight. Back to serve is the libero Robinson. Service error once again for Belhaven. Like you said, we saw none in set number 2. All of a sudden, it might be number 4 midway through set 3.
Yeah, and you gotta have that type of accuracy. I mean, really, you have to have everything, so it sounds dumb when I'm saying it, but you have to almost play perfect at this stage in this match.
Tough block up front by Altum, and no Blazer was able to send it back over after 3 touches. And you blink, and instead of a 1-point lead, it's now a 3-point advantage for Maryville, as they're just playing completely clinical offense. Eldred gets a hand on it, but it sails all the way to the upper deck as some serious force from Kaysen gets the kill for Belhaven.
Yeah, it might be a good way to get these Blazers back on their feet, because they came out of that timeout really slow. It almost slowed their momentum down.
Eldred, tight ball, one-handed touch by Vise. He's going to just send it over to Belhaven. LaCour's attack gets tooled off the hands of Altum, and Megan LaCour, have yourself an afternoon. She continues to be a shining star for Belhaven.
And you mentioned second on the day in these 2 matches in kills, and Talavas for the Lions did that in 5 sets. So LaCour, I mean, right on pace.
If we happen to go the distance, we could be sniffing at 25 kills for one player, which would be an astonishing number. That's what Belhaven hopes. Obviously,
Exactly.
Maryville, who still hold a 2-point advantage, looking to close this out and conserve some energy for their final match against the well-rested Piedmont Lions. Smooth service ace by Reese Bailey, as Belhaven couldn't get a read on that. Also checking in for Belhaven is going to be number 2, Kate Westmoreland. First time we see her this afternoon in the back row. Tough service error. Great reaction by Robinson after the shank, and Westmoreland and De La Torre collide as both were just trying to make a play on the ball and neither knew the other was going.
And Coach Grant Prather isn't liking the game plan being executed right now. Coach did say communication was going to be key, and right now it's really not coming up for the Blazers.
I'd also argue, I feel like it's not losing just 1 point in a row these days. But a beautiful block up front by Riley White for Belhaven, as the lead now sits at 3 in favor of the Scots. Setter is live for both teams, as that's going to be an interesting setup. Service error by LaCour, and substitution for Maryville as Fairburn and Brooke Oliver check back in. And out goes Mise and Altum. 6 points away from closing this out in straight sets are the Scots. Belhaven hanging close. They've battled back from basically getting dismissed in the second set. And a beautiful attack there by Riley White, as that one finds the deep corner of the court. Riley White's serve received by Frisch. Bump set there by Fairburn. Frisch able to get some form of an attack on it. Kenzie Brewster on the setup. And why not give the middle an assist? One of the most unlikely plays in volleyball is the middle setting up your teammates, but Kenzie Brewster seemed more than comfortable.
And I mean, now Maryville's really proven that everyone can get involved. It's a perfect example of that.
They are playing extremely loose and fluid, and Belhaven just seems a little tighter and a little nervous to go as aggressive as the Scots. Back row set up for LaCour. Received by Fairburn, who now means setter is out. Mastro Pasqua on the roll, gets the ball right back. She hammers it down again. LaCour is there, and the dump attempt by Ateka hits into the net. And we'll see a double call against the Blazers. Maryville now lead by 5, 21-16. Timeout called by Belhaven. We're going to step away with them for this 70-second break. When we return, the potential conclusion of our second match of 3 this October afternoon. You're watching Piedmont University Athletics on YouTube. Black Eyed Peas joined us on the intercom singing I Got a Feelin', and Grant, I don't know about you, but I got a feeling Maryville might just close this out in straight sets. They come out of the break just as motivated as they went in, and although a valiant effort by Gardner to keep the point alive, Maryville grabs the first point out of the break once again, basically handing Belhaven their own medicine.
Yeah, Belhaven just kind of lost to themselves these last 2 sets. They looked great that first set, keeping up with the Scots, but ever since then, it's just been out of sync.
Good play by Ateka to send the ball over. Kenzie Brewster on the tip. Diving play by Robinson keeps it alive for Belhaven. And Eldred's going to return the favor on a dive herself. Brooke Oliver goes line, kept alive for the Blazers. Fairburn, tough set, able to find Mastro Pasqua, who goes deep for Robinson. LaCour, deep corner. Does she find the corner? She does. And a beautiful snipe by the on-fire Megan LaCour keeps the Blazers' chances and hopes alive here in set number 3. Ateka back to serve for the Blazers. Aggressive ball, well handled by Frisch. Brooke Oliver gets blocked up front, kept alive. Tough set, does roll it over, and Belhaven now seemingly on the front foot of these last couple points. But when you have some towers over 6 feet tall for the Scots, there's no such thing as a free attack as Kinsey Brewster shuts down the roll attempt by Kaysen. And now the Scots stand just 2 points away from a straight set victory. Eldred serve on its way. How about a service ace for the libero? We've seen aces, service errors, forced errors against Belhaven. It's just been a clinic on every aspect for Maryville as they now grab their first of 6 match points. And why not match service ace with a service error?
I guess, does it cancel out? I guess it does.
Yeah, well, the 1-to-1 ratio is ideal, so I think they just wanted to maintain that. Who knows?
It's not negative, at least. But, I mean, Eldred, a great server, just a rare miss.
Maryville just need one side out. De La Torre, the one to send it over for Belhaven. Super awkward ball is kept in after a block and push up by Belhaven. Mastro Pasco on the attack, kept up initially by Ateka. Good hustle by Robinson to keep it alive for Belhaven. Fairburn goes to who else but Reese Bailey, and the Maryville Scots sweep the Belhaven Blazers in fairly dominant fashion. Your score, 25-22, 25-14, 25-18. Grant, it's a tough task in front of the lines for our third and final matchup of the afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, looking about how we played against the Blazers, this matchup against the Scots, it's going to be tough. It's going to use a lot of finesse like the Blazers were going to have to use, but it's also going to involve a quick start. Maryville also very good at that, so it'll be interesting to see.
Well, we are excited to bring you that matchup, which will be in roughly 45 minutes from right now, as the Lions do need to get ahead, warm up, and get themselves all ready for the upcoming matchup against the Maryville Scots. Scots who played very clinical, very clean. A lot of players were getting involved in the attacking game, so blocking presence is going to be something super crucial for the Lions to deal with. The result of this matchup means that Maryville now sits at 8-2 in conference play. Belhaven now sits at 8-3, so Maryville half a game ahead of Belhaven. Of course, all games will be equally played once the conclusion of the Piedmont and Maryville matchup later this afternoon. Well, we're going to take a breath for this 45 minutes, get ourselves acclimated to cheering on the Lions as objectively as possible. And for you viewers at home, we appreciate you tuning in to this neutral site game between Maryville and Belhaven, and hope to see you back in about 45 minutes for our third and final matchup on this afternoon tri-match slate. For myself, Simon Johnstone, with Grant Prather and the wonderful production team led by Daniel Percival, we thank you for tuning in, and we will see you in about 45 minutes.